Hello, YouTube viewers and Transformers fans of all ages. This is the TFNG coming to you with my next Transformers figure spotlight video, and the character we have today is the Autobot Triple Changer Sandstorm. Introduced during Season 3 of the Generation 1 cartoon, Sandstorm was a leader of a lost colony of Transformers whose colonized world, I should rather say, was filled to the brim with energon. And basically, this lost colony had been unable to maintain contact with Cybertron or any other members of the Transformers race due to the fact that the planet ended up getting sucked into another dimension. And I can't remember exactly what happened in the episode, but basically the Decepticons found the energon-rich world first, and Sandstorm was the only member of the planet's colonists who was able to recognize that the Decepticons were up to no good. And so Sandstorm traveled through the dimensional wormhole that the Decepticons had used, and he met up with Rodimus Prime and the Autobots, and together they were able to spoil the Decepticons' plans. But unfortunately, Galvatron decided to set off an explosion that caused the planet to get destroyed. But fortunately for all the colonists, Rodimus Prime and the Autobots were able to save them all from dying, so Sandstorm and all the other colonists from the energon-rich world decided to join the Autobots and vowed that they would stop Galvatron from destroying any other worlds like they had theirs. So after he was introduced, Sandstorm appeared several times throughout Season 3 of the Generation 1 cartoon, and in the Transformers Generation 1 toy line, I'm today looking back at compared to the other Triple Changers, a lot of Transformers fans have placed Sandstorm at the top of their list of favorite Triple Changer action figure from the Generation 1 line. Let's see, someone's logged on to the live chat. Ninja Bill 1000. Oh, 1000. He's asking, what has he missed so far? Not much really, just the introduction to Sandstorm's background information. So basically, Sandstorm was one of numerous Transformers characters from the Generation 1 franchise who his name gradually faded into the background, and it wasn't until recent years that Hasbro with a revitalized interest in the original Generation 1 franchise, decided to start releasing new toys of Sandstorm. The first of which actually I think was the 2010 Transformers Hunt for the Decepticons version of Sandstorm, which I do not own. That version was a repaint of the Transformers Universe Legends class Beachcomber toy, and despite being a straight-up repaint of Beachcomber, the Hunt for the Decepticons version of Sandstorm, despite looking like a Generation 1 Transformer, it was actually marketed as being the live-action movieverse version of Sandstorm. Yet at the same time, this version of Sandstorm that I have here, the smaller of these two Sandstorm toys, this one right here is the Transformers Generations GDO Scout Class / Basic Class toy of Sandstorm. It's a repaint of the toy mold that was originally used on Revenge of the Fallen Dune Runner. And even though this toy is a repaint of a Movieverse Transformers toy, it's the reverse of the Hunt for the Decepticons version of Sandstorm, and this was actually marketed as being Generation 1 Sandstorm. So one thing that this version of Sandstorm and the one that I keep mentioning that I do not own, the Hunt for the Decepticons Legends class version of Sandstorm, they are not triple changers. They both transform from a robot into a Doom buggy, and that was actually something Hasbro had been doing with another triple changer, the most famous of the Autobot Triple Changer, Springer. Most toys of Springer that had been released by Hasbro throughout the late 2000s and early 2010s, the current decade. Hasbro had made lots of toys of Springer that only turned into helicopters, and the only toys of Sandstorm Hasbro had managed to put on the shelves transformed into a Doom buggy. So for the longest time, to many Transformers fans, it looked as though the Triple Changers days of being Triple Changers and having two alt modes or vehicle modes was something that was only going to be exclusive to the original Generation 1 line. But then Hasbro surprised everyone in 2013 when they released a brand new Voyager class toy of Springer that was a triple changer just like the Generation 1 toy. And then literally right after designing Springer, Hasbro decided to repaint and retool Springer into a new toy of Sandstorm. And a lot of Transformers fans were amazed to see that Sandstorm, Hasbro decided to give him the ground vehicle mode that he had in the Generation 1 line of a Doom Buggy. Now, this right here, this version of Springer, which was released in Hasbro's Transformers Generations Thrilling 30/IDW toy line back in 2013, it is somewhat different from the Generation 1 version of Sandstorm. Generation 1 Sandstorm, his two alt modes were a Doom Buggy was his ground vehicle mode, and then a Rescue Chopper was his flying vehicle mode. But here on the Generations Voyager class Sandstorm toy, his vehicle mode, the argument could be made that it is a type of helicopter, but instead of a Rescue Chopper, it's actually more of a VTOL, VTOL, or as they're more commonly known, a vertical takeoff helicopter. And it doesn't look a thing like the helicopter that the Generation 1 Sandstorm toy turned into. But unfortunately, there hasn't been any announcement since 2013, since this toy was released, of any new toys of Sandstorm being released. So some slight vehicle mode difference is something that I don't complain about, even though others have. But yeah, Generation Thrilling 30 Sandstorm, he's currently my all-time favorite toy of Sandstorm, and unfortunately, Sandstorm, along with most of the Triple Changer Transformers characters, with a few exceptions, there's surprisingly been very few toys of Sandstorm released over the years. I think you can still count using the fingers on your hands how many toys Sandstorm has been given. So I'll start to transform these guys. I'm going to since this guy isn't a Triple Changer, there's only one mode to offer him besides robot mode. Now, this version of Sandstorm that I'm transforming for you right now was released in Hasbro's short-lived Transformers Generations GDO toy line. And basically, this was a series of Transformers toys released back in 2012, and they kind of were the last Transformers toys to be released in the original Transformers Generations toy line. And the letters GDO is actually an acronym for Globally Developed Organization. And what that means is these Transformers toys, Hasbro originally intended to release them exclusively in their Asian markets, and so it was only countries in China, Malaysia, Thailand, the Philippines, Hong Kong that were supposed to get these Transformers toys, but due to low popularity, low sales in Hasbro's Asian market, and high demand for the toys at the same time here in the United States and also Canada, Hasbro decided to release the Generations GDO toys in North America exclusively through Toys R Us for the 2012 Christmas shopping season. Pause for a moment. Let's see what Ninja Bill's been typing. He says he's never owned the Generations GDO version of Asian of Sandstorm. He owns 0 toys of Springer. He doesn't really care for the character. I'm sorry to hear that, Ninja Bill. I do have some love and respect for Springer. And part of the reason for that is the Triple Changers have always been some of my favorite Transformers characters. And let's see, just reading what's been typed in the live chat section here for a moment. He said Ninja Bill 1000 says that the Generations Voyager class Sandstorm is his favorite toy of the character as well. Now, some of you in the back, you've probably noticed that I folded the two machine guns here on the Generation Scout class Sandstorm's roof the same direction. And that's actually because this copy of Generations GDO Sandstorm that I got has a QC issue where he actually got 2 copies of the exact same machine gun attached to him. So these aren't mirror images of each other, and they're supposed to be so. Unfortunately, I tried to see if maybe I could flip the machine gun around so that the peg would sit in place, but there's a metal pin holding it in there, and it's extremely tiny, so unfortunately I'm just stuck like this. And since I now have the Generations Voyager class Sandstorm toy, and this toy of Sandstorm is going through aftermarket prices, unfortunately I'm just stuck with this one. So I actually commented on someone's video one day. It was, now I remember, it was fellow YouTuber Chefatron, shout out to him. In his video review of War for Cybertron Siege Soundwave, his first copy of Soundwave that he purchased was missing his blue laser gun. And he said that he's actually had quite a few instances in the years he's been collecting Transformers where he buys a Transformers toy that's missing a part. Me, I've had a somewhat similar experience with Transformers toys, but instead of missing a part, they actually have two duplicates of the exact same part when the parts are actually supposed to be mirror images of each other, and because they're mirror images, they're technically different parts entirely. So that's the QC problem I've had with quite a few of my Transformers toys that I've purchased over the years. They've had duplicate copies of the same accessory piece, and unfortunately, I'm just stuck with having to do that. Ninja Bill 1000 is asking, can these guns rotate? They can't rotate left to right. They're attached via a double hinge joint, so they can only move up and down. And when you transform the toy to robot mode, these machine guns stay in the exact same position. So unfortunately, they don't rotate 180 degrees. I think they can just barely rotate 90 degrees up and down, but yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Now, to transform Voyager Sandstorm, it is a little more complex, and I do have one gripe with my copy of Generation Sandstorm here. I don't know how well I'm going to be able to show it off to you, but if you look, where is it? See if I rotate it out of the way. There's this one piece right here on Sandstorm that you rotate between his two alt modes when you transform him from helicopter to Doom Buggy. And on my copy, unfortunately, this one piece right here, what you have to do is you push it in when you transform the toy into Doom Buggy mode. And unfortunately, I don't know if you're going to be able to look in there and see it, but if you look right there, right where it rotates, right there, a tiny piece of it chipped off one day. So it does spin loosely now, but it doesn't lock in place when Sandstorm's in robot mode anymore. So yeah, that's the one gripe I have with Sandstorm, and also the toy of Springer that he's repainted and retooled from the two shoulder armor pieces. They're a pain to pull out, and one of them broke on me one day. So yeah, that's a real pain. So getting on to the transformation, even when you do know, it does take a few steps. But once you have it memorized down, it is easy enough. The main problem is getting all the different parts to line up together properly. Got it. There's the back half done. Now for the front half. Just please bear with me for a second. see. I'm sorry for taking Sandstorm off camera, but it's easier for me to transform him this way. Make sure everything's lined up properly. Alright, and here is Generations Voyager class Sandstorm in his vertical takeoff helicopter mode. It is pretty nice. And before Sandstorm was announced to exist, Hasbro accidentally let it leak out that Sandstorm was going to end up existing, and that's because Sandstorm is actually pictured here in his vertical helicopter mode flying off of Metroplex's arm on the box artwork that was used on the Titan class Metroplex toy. Okay, so bringing in Sandstorm's laser gun, I apologize for not showing this off in his robot mode, but his laser gun, it isn't really that great. The missile, as you can see there by that sculpted ball on it, it's launched with friction instead of an actual spring. There's 3 places you can put Sandstorm's laser gun when he's in helicopter mode. You can put it in this peg here on the back and have him have a suspended cannon. You can put it on this peg hole farther up the helicopter fuselage and give him an overhead cannon, but the best place to do it, ideally, on his instruction sheet is to fold up his front landing gear, and then on my copy of Sandstorm, it doesn't like to stick that well, but what you ideally do is you take the gun and you hook it there on the bottom of the helicopter nose, flip up the 5mm peg, and there on the 5mm peg there's a sculpted wheel on there, and then towards here on the back, these 2 orange pieces, which were Sandstorm's robot mode knee spikes, they've got little sculpted wheels on them, and so there's Sandstorm's landing gear. So yeah, Sandstorm, he does have sculpted landing gear, so he can stay standing up properly if you don't bip him to one side. The vertical takeoff thrusters, the entire things don't spin, but the black edges on the outside do. So yeah, I think Hasbro and Takara did a decent job designing this toy, especially considering it's retooled and repainted from Generation Sandstorm. Springer. I get Springer and Sandstorm's names mixed up, so I apologize for that. So to get this guy transformed into Doom Buggy mode, how do you want to unhook that, unpeg these, bring them forward, and then most difficult part for me is you have to unhook this and bring it back, peg that into place like that, then take the vertical takeoff thrusters, rotate them around, bring this in forward, sandwich it in place, and then take these parts, rotate them around and inward, and oops, forgot you have to rotate them so they come up like this with these little pieces folded up. And that'll complete the sides of the driver's cab for Sandstorm's Doom Buggy mode. And I can't remember if they clip in place anywhere else. Ah, okay, so that's what I was doing wrong. These don't stay pegged. The robot mode legs don't stay pegged together. You want to rotate them out, and then these pieces clip to the sides of them. Alright, and once you have the sides of Sandstorm all pegged into place, you take the back Doom Buggy wheels, fold them down, and they'll lock into what are Sandstorm's robot mode knees. And then this part, which is the helicopter tail fin, you fold it down forward like that. And the last step, take these shoulder pieces, which are a pain to transform, shove them in there. Alright, and there is Generations Voyager class Sandstorm in his Doom Buggy mode. And unlike the helicopter mode, which had multiple spots for Sandstorm's laser gun, there's only one peg here on the back to plug it in. Alright, and there is Sandstorm. And to be honest, out of all the Voyager class toys released, Generation Sandstorm, he has the biggest wheels, I feel, out of any Voyager class Transformers toy. Why, they are enormous, and so I think that's one reason why a lot of Transformers fans were excited that Hasbro decided to make Sandstorm's ground vehicle mode the same Doom Buggy that the Generation 1 toy transformed into, because those back wheels are enormous. Now, despite their immense size, Sandstorm still does roll around fairly well. He rolls around slightly more than the Generations GDO Scout class version of him. So yeah, all in all, Sandstorm, these modern toys of him are pretty decent enough, and if you own copies of Sandstorm, or I mean you don't have the QC issues that my copies have, then congratulations on finding toys of Sandstorm that don't have any problems whatsoever. Let's see what Ninja Bill's typed up here since my last rant. Let's see, Ninja Bill 1000 says Sandstorm was his first Generations figure, so that's pretty great to hear. So yeah, my final thoughts on Sandstorm. Do I recommend both these toys of Sandstorm? I only recommend the Generations GDO version of Sandstorm if you want to have a orange Doom Buggy that's not a triple changer. But as for the Generations Voyager class Sandstorm released by Hasbro back in 2013, do I recommend getting this toy? Absolutely. Despite the QC issues I had, this is the most incredible toy of Sandstorm that's been developed by both Hasbro and Takara Tomy, and some Transformers fans have pointed out that because back in 2013 Hasbro and Takara Tomy were still releasing the same Transformers toys but with different paint jobs, and basically at the time in 2013 Hasbro had managed to give the versions of the Transformers toys released in North America, some of them had slightly more interesting paint details compared to the Takara Tomy version, and Sandstorm is one of those that most Transformers fans say Hasbro's paint job was superior and Takara Tomy's was inferior. So yeah, if you do not own the Generations Thrilling 30/IDW Voyager class Sandstorm toy that was released back in 2013, then by all means get this toy and add it to your collection. You will not be disappointed with this toy. So thank you all so much for watching. Thank you, Ninja Bill, for tuning into the live chat stream. This has been the TFN Geek. Stay tuned for my next video. Hopefully I'll start live streaming it right after I finish editing this video. So thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a great day. Transform and roll out. Oh, wait, whoops. I'm sorry. Alright, from now on, I'm gonna try and read the final messages of the live stream chat when I log off. If it was not Ninja Bill 1000, it was Transformers for Life. He decided to log on. And Transformers for Life, he's the guy who said that Sandstorm was his first toy in the Generations line. So yeah, I apologize, Transformers for Life. Thank you for tuning into the live stream chat, and thank you, Ninja Bill. I apologize for all the confusion. It's really hard for me to read what's going on in the live chat, but I'll try to improve myself in the future. Thank you once again.